What's up, guys? It's Tyler. I'm back with another movie review, and I'm with Jacob again in Texas. So last time we did Chamber of Secrets. Now we're doing Prisoner of Azkaban, which this is actually when the series starts to get dark in the movies. This is where
it's still lighthearted in this one, but like
it's starting to get dark.
It slowly gets dark.
And fun fact, I didn't know this, but actually this is both of our favorites.
Yep.
Book and movie in the series.
So I watched this movie so much as a kid.
I did too. I read the book multiple
and getting
times.
to watch it today, or not today, but getting to watch it again, it was like,
oh my gosh. I do. Duke's here. And coming from someone who doesn't like to read, I read this book multiple times.
Kids, don't be like Tyler. Read your books.
I read books. Okay, moving on. Let's get started. So, all right. So first thing, so in the movie, the first thing that we see is Aunt Marge comes to visit. But before we even get into that, there's a scene in the book prior to this where Harry gets a bunch of letters from Hermione and Ron and McGonagall and Hagrid of birthday gifts. And it's a big thing that I wish they would have kept in because this is a storyline that Harry never got birthday gifts growing up. And now he's finally getting them because he has friends and he has people who support him.
And this is the first day that the first time he actually feels happy during his birthday.
Yes. Oh, he says that in the book. Nice stuff. This is actually kind of a difference because he gets Hagrid's book in this scene of the book. In the movie, he does not get it until he's in the Leaky Cauldron. Yeah, so Hagrid's book
I lost a bet on that, so I gotta get this guy dinner tonight.
He's paying for dinner because he lost a bet with me. Don't question me. Anyways,
question him.
Whatever. So then we get to Aunt Marge's visit, and so in the book, her visit is longer. It's for 3 days. In the movie, it's only like the 1 day. We hate Aunt Marge.
I thought it was not possible to hate someone more than the Dursleys until I remember Aunt Marge in the book. In the book, she's worse than what she is in the movie.
She's terrible.
Oh yeah.
So in the movie, and actually, you could even talk about Petunia.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just like, even Petunia doesn't like her. That's the vibe that I got. Even in the books, I felt like, she does not like her whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So there's just like, because Marge bullies her around. She says, "Oh, your whole family's a sick. We could break you," and all that type of stuff. Like,
oh, that's true. She does say that.
And Petunia's just like, huh? Like when she says that to her. So, but yeah.
And so Marge also makes a bunch of digs about Harry's parents. They calls his dad a drunk. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work, and that's when Harry breaks the glass with his head, which Marge kind of barks, "Oh, I have a firm grip." But Vernon's like, "I saw you."
Yeah.
And then Marge goes too far when she says, "If there's something wrong with the bitch, there's something wrong with the pup," referring to Harry's mother. And that's when Harry...
That's what was said in the movie. We're not actually cussing right now, Emily.
Okay, Elizabeth, not Emily.
If you're watching.
Elizabeth, we're quoting. So anyway, Harry blows her up, and not like, it's more like she turns into a balloon.
Yeah.
And floats away. And
favorite line in the movie, "Don't you dare!" Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. and then Harry leaves the Dursleys' house because he's had enough, which I don't blame him.
Yep.
And then we run into the night bus. Well, before that, Harry sees a black dog walk out of the bush, and we don't know who this is at first. We find out later who this is, but and then the bus pulls up, the guy gets out, says, "I'm the night bus for lost, stranded wizard or witch," and he goes, this is one of my favorite lines, "What you fall over for? What you doing down there? Well, get up." And now this is a difference. In the book on the night bus, Harry pretends to be Neville Longbottom. Mm-hmm. This isn't in the movie, and also there's no shrunken head in the book. Dude, what are you doing?
Move, buddy. Come on.
What are you doing?
Come on.
He wants to say hi.
Sit. Good point.
And this is the first time that Harry sees the newspaper and sees Sirius Black and asks who that is, and the bus guy explains to him that Sirius was a big supporter of who he's a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all Harry finds out in that scene. And then we get to the Leaky Cauldron. And this is where we meet Cornelius Fudge for the first time. Well, actually, no. He's in the Chamber of Secrets.
He is very briefly.
He's in, yes, when Hagrid gets taken to Azkaban because of the Chamber of Secrets. Okay, sorry. Second time we meet Fudge.
But actual screen time wise, we actually get to kind of see his character develop in this time.
So he basically tells Harry that the Reversal Magic Department has located his Aunt Marge. Also, funny little scene when Harry leaves, you can see Aunt Marge in the background blowing away. Anyway, so Fudge tells Harry that they restored Marge to her regular form and they have altered her memory so she has no recollection of being blown up. And it's no big deal. And Harry questions, why is he not in trouble? Because he almost got in trouble last year for doing something smaller than that. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it was Dobby, not even him. But, we're not going to get into that. But and then, in the book, that's when he tells Harry, do you want to be punished?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why are you questioning me? Do you want to be punished? And I'm like, Harry, stop questioning it. Mm-hmm. And I will just say, this movie, you like Fudge. Upcoming movie, not so much. He kind of makes turns for worse. Let's see. But he does tell Harry not to go wandering because he says, we have a murder on the loose, Sirius Black, and not to go wandering. And this is a big difference in the book and the movie, how we meet. He's talking to his dogs. His dogs are playing.
Kind of the background.
But you can talk about this one, where what difference how we meet Hermione and Ron in the movie and the book because it's different.
So basically, in the book, if my recollection is correct, he goes to the Leaky Cauldron, he meets his Fudge and everything, and then he decides to head over to Diagon Alley. And Diagon Alley is where he meets Ron and Hermione. Mm-hmm. Ron and Hermione in the movie are at the Leaky Cauldron and they're arguing about Crookshanks and Scabbers.
Crookshanks is Hermione's cat.
Yes. Mm-hmm. In the book, they see each other. They run into each other and into Diagon Alley. They go shopping around some stuff, and Hermione mentions that she wants to go get herself a pet because everyone has an owl, someone else has a rat, some people have frogs, toads. So she's like, I want to get a pet. So she decides to go, and she runs into, she's looking through some stuff. This is at the same time, Scabbers is getting looked at because he's not looking too good. He's getting ill and everything. And, so the vet's looking at him, and then all of a sudden the cat comes out of nowhere, tries to chase Scabbers, and Ron and Harry leave, and about 5 minutes later, Hermione comes out holding Crookshanks, the big fluffy cat.
And Ron's like, you bought that monster?
Exactly. So that was the main difference between that scene in the books and the movie. So,
And in the movie, another major scene that happens is, and I'm going to talk about it because it's in the book, is Arthur Weasley, who is Ron's dad, pulls Harry aside and tells him that Sirius Black is looking for Harry because Voldemort lost everything when he tried to curse Harry, and Sirius is trying to murder him to avenge Voldemort. In the book, though, Harry actually overhears, the night before this, Harry actually overhears Molly and Arthur arguing about it, and whether to tell Harry or not. So Harry kind of already knew what was happening.
Arthur wanted to say something, and Molly was like, no, he's just a boy. He needs to relax.
Molly's very motherly towards Harry.
Yeah.
She's trying to protect his... Which I get it. I understand. But
at the same time, we're like,
I agree with Arthur. You gotta tell him what's going on.
Exactly.
But he makes a really good point in the book. He says, Harry has a record of wandering off and going in the woods. He can't do that this year. There's a murder out there.
So, we actually had we watched the movie last night, and Chris, my girlfriend, who was on the last video, was here with us, and he goes, "Why would you go for someone looking who's gonna kill you?" And me and Kristen looked at him and we were like, well, he has a record of going after people. Yeah, but you even said, why would you, why even bother that? And I was like, dude, he wanders off all the time, unintentionally, but potentially looking for trouble. Come on, okay.
So then next thing is we go into the Hogwarts Express, and Harry is telling Hermione and Ron about, what the Weasley said about Sirius Black, and they're both nervous for Harry. They had to tell him to be careful, and so then the train stops. And things get dark and it gets cold and difference in the book. So there's a man in the movie. There's a man sitting next. We don't know who this is yet, but in the book, he wakes up before the major thing happens that we're about to talk about, and he says, "Quiet."
Yeah.
And that's after, also difference in the book, Neville and Ginny are in the compartment with them. After everything gets dark, they go in.
Yeah, they get scared and they start trying to hide.
Yeah. And it's funny because Ginny Hermione says, "Ginny, come sit." And Harry goes, no, because I'm in here. I guess Harry didn't want Ginny to sit next to him. Yeah. Because Ginny had a crush on Harry.
Yeah.
And then these creatures called Dementors come onto the train because they're looking for Sirius Black. And they come into the compartment, and one of them starts to suck Harry's, not soul, but like
We're sucking the happiness. I mean, basically, in some way, he is sucking his soul, but it's not like the finish him off thing.
Right.
Another thing that we'll figure out later.
He was getting there. Yeah. And then Harry hears this woman screaming, and at this point, we don't know who that is. We figure out later who it is. And so Lupin, Professor Lupin, who's the man, like I say, he does the Patronus charm to ward off the Dementor, and then he says, "I'm gonna go have a word with the driver." And I'm like, yeah, he definitely went to go fuss with the driver.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what he definitely went to.
Yeah.
And then we get to the feast at Hogwarts,
which is the shortest feast of any of the movies ever.
Yeah, it is. This is new actor for Dumbledore. This is when Michael Gambon took over the role of Dumbledore. The other one, I think, passed away. Yeah, he passed away. Yeah. Now this Dumbledore has recently passed away too, so rest in peace to Michael Gambon. So this is where he introduces Professor Lupin officially as the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. And as usual, Snape gives a dirty look because he wants that professor role. He also announces that Hagrid is now a professor. He's going to teach care of magical creatures. Love Hagrid.
Magical creature, come here. Come here, dude. Here's our magical creature.
So Malfoy also taunts Harry for fainting. Because he's a little turd.
That's Neville's fault because Neville went on to brag, went on to go tell everyone about it. Neville's a little turd, okay?
Leave Neville alone. Leave Neville alone.
There's only so much leeway that you can give the man.
Okay.
Gosh. Okay. Anyways.
So also Dumbledore he warns the students that the Dementors are stationed at the school for security because obvious reasons, and he says, do not give them a reason to harm them because they don't often differentiate between the one they're looking for and the one who stands in their way.
Okay, hold on. I want to mention something first really quickly. This is random. Why did they not close the school down when there was a convicted murderer on the loose, but the last movie when
Chamber Secrets were open,
and they closed it down right away.
They didn't close the school though. They kept it open.
No, they did close it down. They said like multiple times we have to close the school down.
They didn't send the kids.
Okay, we can solve this. We'll say this later. Anyways, that's my thought. Continue back to this the thing. We have a timeline. Go.
But they didn't send them home.
Go.
Okay, whatever. Then there's this fun little scene in the movie that's not in the book. Where the Gryffindor boys are hanging out and they're messing around with, I don't know what even it is they're doing. I don't know what, it's the type of candy they're eating, and then make them make animal noises. So it's a really fun scene. They're bonding.
It's a bros will be bros type scene. Yeah.
And then we get divination, which Professor Trelawney is introduced. She is a nut.
Yeah.
She's crazy.
Anyone who does the spiritualism type stuff, not religion. But like spiritualism, messing with the spirits and doing Ouija boards and stuff like that.
Cuckoo.
Yeah. Not disrespecting y'all. Still.
They're reading the teacups, and this is when, and Hermione thinks that divination is rubbish, which I kind of agree with her.
Yeah.
And then they're reading tea leaves, and that's when, and before I mention this, Neville actually, being clumsy that he is, drops one of her cups, and she tells him, "Oh, when you drop that cup, can you get one of the blue ones? Because I rather am fond of the pink ones."
Yeah.
Funny little.
Which wasn't in the movie.
It's in the book. That's in the book, and it's humorous.
Yeah.
And then, we both in the book and the movie. Major thing that happens after Professor Tron looks in Harry's cup, she sees, "Oh, you have the Grim, and the Grim's an omen for death," and which everyone starts talking. Dun dun dun. Also, there are scenes that are cut out of her class. Divination has more scenes in the movie. Mm-hmm. I think there's only one other scene in the movie about divination. But also, what else is cut out, which I love, is there's banter between Trelawney and McGonagall, where McGonagall consistently throws shade at Trelawney because she's crazy.
Yeah.
And after Harry gets the Grim, they have McGonagall's class in the book, and McGonagall's like, "What is wrong with you guys?" And they say, "We just had divination." She goes, "Stop. Who's dying this year?" And Harry goes, "It's me." And she goes, "Well, you look an excellent help to me, so forgive me if I don't excuse you from your homework. If you die, you don't need to turn it in."
Exactly,
and that's so funny. And then there's this one little scene where she comes to the feast and Trelawney goes, "I saw the crystal ball that I would be eating with you guys." This is in the book, by the way. And
later down the road.
There's 13 people at the table. And then Harry Ron gets up. She's like, "Which one of you left first? Which one? Which one?" And McGonagall goes, "Unless a Mad Axe man's outside waiting to kill them, I think they're okay." So just a funny little things they left out. So then we have Buckbeak. We are introduced to Buckbeak because Hagrid's class for care of magical creatures. Buckbeak is a hippogriff. Hagrid teaches the kids about hippogriffs, which in the book there's more hippogriffs. There's like a paddock.
Yes.
With about 12 of them, I think. But in the movie, it's only Buckbeak. And yes. Hagrid says that hippogriffs are very proud creatures. You never want to insult them. That might be the last thing you do. Mm-hmm. And a certain someone, we're going to get to that, is not paying attention. Mm-hmm. And he gets his comeuppance. But anyway, hi, Duke. So, no one wants to volunteer except for Harry.
Well, Harry didn't even volunteer. He just stood there.
Well, in the book, he does. In the book, he says, "I'll do it."
Oh, okay.
But in the movie, he just kind of stands there and everyone else backs up and he's like, "Oh, Harry, there you go." But no, you're correct. But Harry successfully tames Buckbeak. He bows to them and then he rides them, which in the book, he doesn't really enjoy the ride as much. In the movie, he enjoys it more. Mm-hmm. I would enjoy it. I think that'd be fun.
You fall off.
Right. Fall off? Shut up, Jacob.
You fall off.
Dude, would I fall off? They leave me out of this. Then Malfoy, who was not paying attention to the lesson, proceeds to insult Buckbeak.
He deserves to get beat by Buckbeak.
Buckbeak scratches Malfoy very, very harmfully. It's like there's a gash in Malfoy's arm, and he's
Madam Buckbeak said he's like, "Ah, it's fine, you're done."
Yeah, and then we are in the boggart scene. So Professor Lupin's first lesson in the movie. And a boggart is things that people fear the most. So the boggart
is a
shapeshifter. So for example, Neville's biggest fear is Professor Snape. Ron's biggest fear is the spider. Harry is, well, we get to Harry's later, but funny scene in the book that's not in the movie. Hermione says she wanted to fight it, and Ron goes, "What would be your fear? A 9 out of 10 on a quiz?" That's actually funny. But anyway, so the spell that repels a boggart is ridiculous, and that's when you picture the boggart in a funny, humorous way. You say ridiculous, and it turns into that, because laughter is what finishes off a boggart. So. And in the book, more people fight the boggart in the book. There's more of a fight. And then both in the book and the movie, Lupin stops Harry from fighting the boggart.
Yeah.
And then he ends the class right there. Which leads us into... Okay, so this is kind of a difference we can discuss. Because the next thing I have is conversation with Lupin. And that's different because in the book...
So in the book, what happens is basically... everyone's going to go to Hogsmeade, and Harry, of course, his aunt and uncle did not sign the permission slip. So Ron convinces Harry to go ask Professor McGonagall, whatever, however you pronounce it. I can't pronounce words today. try to sign it for her. And she says no, of course. So Harry unfortunately has to stay at Hogwarts while everyone else is going to have fun. During that time period, while he is staying, while everyone else is at Hogsmeade, he runs into Professor Lupin, and Lupin brings him into his office. Mm-hmm. This is a key difference, or a setting difference where Harry and Lupin talk in the movie about why he didn't, let him face the boggart. Thank you. So they're in the book. They're in Lupin's office, and Lupin states that I thought that was going to turn into Voldemort, and I didn't think that we should have someone have the whole school freak out because of Voldemort. At this time period at this scene in the book, Snape comes in with a potion for Lupin, and a whole cauldron full of potion. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. In the movie, you see them on this gigantic bridge, and they have the same discussions, but there's no potions or anything like that. That's pretty much the main differences in the book and the movie.
So Lupin also, in this conversation, tells Harry about his parents, because Lupin knew his parents when he was at school with them. Mm-hmm. So it says that, Harry has his mother's eyes, mm-hmm. and his father's knack for trouble, mm-hmm. which is both true.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then we get the next scene where the fat lady is not in her portrait, and everyone's wondering what happened. And also in the movie, I think this is in the book, in the movie they're like, did no forget the password or something? And Neville's like behind him like, hey, mm-hmm. it's not me this time. And then, Percy comes up and says, get away, I'm head boy. Yeah. I was like, Percy is more prevalent in the book. He annoys me. He's very, what's the word? Just full of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's arrogant. Yeah. But anyway, they look for the fat lady. They find the fat lady in a different portrait, and she tells them that Sirius Black is in the castle, but there's a difference. In the book, Peeves the poltergeist is the one that tells them that Sirius Black is in the castle. But Peeves, of course, is not in the movies, which is a disappointment. And also, in the book, Sir Galligan replaces the Fat Lady, mm-hmm. which he is obnoxious.
He changes the password every single day.
And poor Neville, because Neville has trouble remembering passwords to begin with when they're consistent.
That's his fault.
Now he's changing them every day, so Neville's going to write
Neville's annoying the crap out of me, man.
Whatever. Neville has some glow up in the movies, though, in the books. Okay. So then we have Lupin is sick, so Snape takes over Lupin's class for a day.
Yes.
And he walks in.
Turn to page 394.
And so in the book, Harry's actually late for class. This is in the book, not in the movie. Harry's late for class. He gets 10 points from Gryffindor. And Snape starts to say, we're going to talk about werewolves. And they try to say, well, we're not on werewolves yet. We're on Hickey Puffs. And he says, shush. And then he asks them, what's the difference between an animagus and a werewolf? And Hermione's the only one that knows. But he ignores her.
Hermione popped out of nowhere, too, by the way.
Yes, she does. Pops out of nowhere. And we're gonna find out later on why she does that. But it's also funny to see Ron's reaction every time she falls. He's like, how'd you get? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She plays it off really well. But anyway, so Hermione finally answers the question, and Snape berates her for talking out of turn. But he doesn't berate Malfoy for making the ow sound, which is awesome.
In the movie he did.
He says, thank you, Mr. Malfoy.
Yeah, that was like, oh, really?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But he didn't take points off or anything.
Yeah, no.
And then he takes points off. Now, this is a difference that annoys me. In the book, Ron defends Hermione when he does that and says, if you don't want to answer, why did you ask the question, basically?
Yeah.
But in the movie, he goes, well, Snape's right. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Ron is supposed to defend Hermione, so that annoyed me. And when Ron defends Hermione in the book, he gets detention for it.
Yes.
He gets detention for that.
He had to go clean out the pots, the bedpans, and with a toothbrush.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Ew.
And then Snape also assigns 2 rolls of parchment. In the book, and in the movie, it's an essay.
But same thing.
Yeah, and they complain about it when Lupin comes back. Lupin basically tells them, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So next we have the Quidditch scene, which, like in the first two movies, there are definitely more Quidditch scenes in the book than in the movie. This is the only Quidditch scene in this movie.
Yeah, I went the whole. Okay, so this is like legitimately the first time I've read the book. Not all the way through, unfortunately. Pull the timer. So,
Duke, sicko.
anyways, like I went the whole series in the movies, not ever thinking that Gryffindor, who had this killer team, never won a championship. And I'm like, if y'all had these amount of talent, y'all suck not winning the championship, you know? But in the book, they won the championship. And I remember like listening at work and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I was like, oh, yeah! Of course, I couldn't really do that at work. Well, on the inside, so anyways, continue.
Anyway, and another difference in all three movies, I think Lee Jordan is seen in the first movie briefly, but he's never shown as much as he is in the books. And he's actually pretty funny with his commentary.
Yeah.
And he calls out Slytherin every time they cheat. And McGonagall, fuss with Jordan, get back to the game. Or like in this book, he keeps talking about the fireball. Because at this point in the book, Harry has the fireball.
Yes.
But in the movie, he does not.
Yes.
And
well, not yet, because
not yet.
At this point in the book, there's 3 different Quidditch matches.
Yeah.
Things are happening in between. They only keep 1 Quidditch match here.
Yeah.
And the championship series is where he talks about the firebolt a lot.
Yeah, and then McGonagall's like, stop talking about the fireball to get back to the game.
Exactly, yes.
And also Oliver Wood is not shown in this movie, but he's in the book a lot. So.
And Cedric Diggory.
Yes, he is in the book. He's in the next movie.
Yeah.
So Harry falls off his broom because he sees the Dementors and he hears the woman scream again.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he gets to the Dementors, his scream becomes louder and he hears more. In the book, he hears more of the conversation. And in the book, Diggory catches the snake for Hufflepuff, but he tries to call it off because he sees that Harry fell.
Yeah.
But Madame Hooch is like, it's too late. We've already called the game.
Yeah.
And then Harry wakes up in the hospital and finds out that they lost the match and his broom got broken because it went into the Whomping Willow. And funny little thing is Ron goes, well, they say, Ron, let's see what you look like when you fall off the tower. And Harry goes, probably better than he does now. It's funny. And this is when we find out, so the Marauder's map. So Harry is trying to sneak into Hogsmeade with his invisibility cloak, and Fred and George see him walking in his footsteps. They see footsteps, and they figure out it's him, and they pull him aside, and they give him a Marauder's map, which shows everyone in the Hogwarts or wherever they are, and it sees them that they're walking around. Like it shows their name moving as they're walking, which that's pretty cool. I would love a map like that. I can use that at the school to show when the kids come into my office, like kids coming. I'm like, okay, I can prepare for this. Anyway, so my big question about this, and I brought this up to him, is Fred and George have always had this map for years, and at this point we know that Peter Pettigrew, spoiler, is Ron's rat.
Yes.
So my big question is, if they've had this map for years, how did they not see Peter Pettigrew on the map next to Ron?
Wait, you said that we knew Peter Pettigrew was Ron's rat?
Well, later on in the movie we find out.
Yeah, I thought you said we knew it in this point.
No, not
we
this point.
don't.
We don't, not in this point we don't know.
Okay.
Later on we find that out.
Yeah.
So the big thing is, how did they not know that how did they not see that? Like, you'd think they would have seen that. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's just a big question of mystery. And as someone posted it on Facebook too, like, my brothers have this map for it, and they never shared it, and they never told me that I was sleeping with a man in my bed all these years. That's funny. So then, Harry uses the map to get into Hogsmeade under his invisibility cloak, and big difference in this scene, because Hermione and Ron are together looking at a house. They're not dating, but just physically together.
But you see the romance starting to build up in the movie a lot
cute.
more, yeah.
And so this is your difference that you brought up, yeah.
Oh, so in the book, Ron, Hermione, and Harry go to Hogsmeade multiple times.
Yeah.
So the first time he sneaks out, he goes and he runs into Ron and Hermione. And this is also in the book. He discovers that Sirius Black is his grandfather, or his godfather.
Godfather.
Sorry, godfather. I'm about to slap this kid. He's older than me.
The difference between that.
Anyways, so he discovers, that he's his godfather. And in the movie, Harry's like, oh, I'm going to kill him, blah, 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 blah. But we see that he goes to Hogsmeade multiple times. In the book, Ron and Hermione are at each other's necks because Crookshanks keeps trying to kill Scabbers. And this makes strife between them, and therefore Hermione's not really hanging out with the two of them that much. In the movie, you never see that strife between them that much at all, really.
A little bit.
In the deleted scene, you see it, but that's it. That's it. Like, you see it maybe once or twice, but that's
what I'm saying. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the movie. But okay. Anyways, so in the movie, Ron and Hermione looking at the Shrieking House, and then that's when Malfoy and the two other goons, they come up and they start making fun of them, and Harry beats them up. In the book, Harry is with Ron, and Malfoy starts talking crap, and Harry beats up Draco and all of that. I mean, that's a simple.
And also thing. In the book, Malfoy sees Harry's head.
Yeah.
And
when they're running off.
Snape catches him and gets him in trouble. Yeah. Because Malfoy went tell Snape.
Exactly.
Snitches just get stitches. So he just mentioned, because I'm mentioning it again, because in the movie this time it's after, it's different in the book. In the movie, the next scene is when Harry's under the cloak and he finds out, this is where he finds out in the movie that Sirius is his godfather, because the professors are in, it's Professor McGonagall, Cornelius Fudge, and Rosmerta talking to each other. Now in the book, Flitwick and Hagrid are also in that conversation. And they're talking about how Sirius Black betrayed James and Lily Potter, and that James was best friends with Sirius. Sirius was his best man, and Sirius was Harry's godfather. And they also talk about, in the book, they talk about how Pettigrew was following them around, and he was their other friend, and he never really fit in with them. And McGonagall actually shows the human side of her. She actually gets a little upset. She was very strict with him and stern with him, and she regrets that. And at this point, she thinks he's the good guy.
Yeah.
And Harry, and he already mentioned Harry going into local, and that's actually when, as he mentioned earlier, that Harry says, I want to kill him.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
And then we go to Lupin's lesson. He's teaching Harry how to, because Harry asked Lupin to teach him how to use the Patronus charm for future encounters with Dementors. And so he tells Harry that he needs to think of a happy memory to make his Patronus strong. Different in the book is that there are more attempts that Harry makes to get a Patronus. And another difference is the final memory he uses, which makes his Patronus the strongest, is different. In the book, the happiest memory he chooses is when he finds out that he's a wizard and he's leaving the Dursleys. But in the movie, the thing he chooses is that it's not a memory. He just thinks of meeting his parents and talking to them. But that's the happiest he's ever felt. And that's why it worked.
Yes.
So, also, just to be clear, and he agrees, Lupin is a great character.
Yeah.
Love Lupin. Lupin's amazing. Very much teaches Harry a lot. Yes, that's another thing. Peeves in the book calls him Loony Lupin. It's funny. So then, Harry's in his room. Oh, this is another funny thing in the movie where Ron wakes up and he's scared because he's having a dream about spiders. He goes, spiders, they want me to talk to them. And Harry's like, you tell those spiders, Ron.
He's like, I'll tell him.
And then he goes back to sleep. And so then Harry sees Peter Pettigrew's name on the map. And he's like, well, what's going on? Peter Pettigrew is supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
So he goes wandering around the castle, and then Peter Pettigrew, his name crosses Harry. What are you doing?
I'm just looking at it.
Crosses Harry, but Harry didn't see anything. And then Snape comes around the corner and catches him. And they have a conversation about, the dad was strolling around the castle, whatever, and then difference in book and movie. In the movie, Harry reads, when Snape's in the movie, so he's in the map, Harry reads the words, but in the book, Snape actually reads it. Both times Snape gets offended by what the map says, and then Lupin appears and basically covers for Harry and says, "Oh, this is just a Fidelius?
I have no clue. Some
kind of charm. This is a charm." But he knows it's not. He knows it's the map because he's one of the ones that created the map.
Yeah.
So he brings Harry into his office, and then he lectures Harry and says, this, you should have turned it in because in the hands of Sirius Black, again, at this point, they still think Sirius is a murderer. So he says, in the hands of Sirius Black, this could have been a map directly to you, which is a valid point.
Very true.
And then he also says, your parents sacrificed their lives for you, and you're undermining it by wandering around with a killer on the list, which is also true. Like, Lupin is actually, he's actually following him a little bit now. He's like, dude, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Sorry, Elizabeth, but it's true. It's telling you to get your shit together.
Language.
Whatever.
Watch your profanity.
And then, so when Harry leaves in the movie, he says, well, Lupin, I don't think the map works because I saw Peter Pettigrew on it, and Lupin goes, that's not possible. And Lupin's like, what? And then, this is such a funny scene. This is when we get another divination scene in the movie. And there's a couple of differences here. So, in this scene in the book, Trelawney, being the nut that she is, says, the fates have told me that this will be on your exam. And Hermione looks at her and she goes, the fates have told her? Who sets the exam? She does. What an amazing prediction. Because if you have to rely on the fates and say what the exam is going to be on, you're not a very good teacher.
Yeah.
Sorry. Look, the actress who played Trelawney did a great job. Just the characters whack-a-doodle-doo. So Hermione in both book and movie kind of mocks the Grimm. Like, in the book, she goes, oh, not the Grimm again. In the movie, she's like, oh, the Grimm. And Trelawney basically tells her she's not cut out for divination. She throws a really major shade her way. And then Hermione walks out. And in the book, one of the students is like, oh, my God, Professor, you predicted that one of our numbers would leave us. And she's like, yep, I knew it was going to be Hermione. And in the movie, this is where Harry goes back because he sees the crystal ball on the ground, and then he brings it back to Trelawney's classroom, and then all of a sudden Trelawney appears behind him and makes a big, huge prediction that, Lord Voldemort's servant's going to return and reunite with him, and Lord Voldemort will become back to power once again. In the book, though, the prediction scene happens when Harry is taking his examination for divination with Trelawney. Because in that one, he makes up that he sees a hippogriff, and Trelawney tries to say, oh, you're going to predict what's going to happen with the hearing for Hagrid, because in between all this, Lucius Malfoy is making a big deal that Buckbeak attacked Malfoy.
Yeah.
Malfoy deserved it, by the way.
Yes.
And trying to get...
Justice system is corrupt in this series.
Yes. And that leads us actually into the next thing, which is Buckbeak's execution. And in the book, Hermione actually helps Hagrid come up with a defense, and there's also an appeal that fails in the book.
Yes.
So there's a big difference, and but they all go see Hagrid. Before they do that, I love this scene. It's even in the book. Malfoy is there, and he's taunting about Hagrid. Like, look at that oaf, he's crying, and look at him.
Oh, yeah.
And Hermione walks up and says, you foul, evil little cockroach, and points her wand. And Malfoy is such a coward. He goes,
yeah.
He starts crying, and then he starts laughing when Hermione looks around, and then Hermione just, boom, punches him in his face, satisfied.
Exactly.
And Ron even says, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then they go down to Hagrid's hut, and, they're consoling Hagrid about Buckbeak. And in the movie, and in the book too, Hagrid actually says, Ron, I found Scabbers, as rat. And then Hermione says, you owe me an apology for accusing him. For apology, Ron goes, oh, when I see Crookshanks next time, I'll apologize.
Yeah.
Just being a little smart.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then they leave the hut. See, in the book, Hagrid chews them out. In the movie, rocks are being thrown. We don't know who's throwing the rocks, but they get hit with rocks and then they leave. And then they watch on top of a hill, and they watch the executioner swing his axe down and chop something. And then Hermione starts crying, and then Scabbers bites Ron and runs away. And he's like, Scabbers! And Crookshanks actually appears in the midst of all this in the book. In the book, she does. I mean, in the book, he does. In the movie, he does not appear in this scene. And then the same dog that Harry saw in the beginning of the movie appears again, and the dog drags Ron into a Whomping Willow and the Shrieking Shack, and then Hermione and Harry go in after him. And when they get to the room, this is the same thing in the book and the movie. Ron's like, he's an animagus, and then it reveals Sirius Black.
Oh.
And he's standing there, and you pointed out this difference actually, that Ron's the one that says.
Ron's the one who constantly says that you'd have to kill us all three, and he says it multiple times, but in the movie, Hermione's the one who says
who says it?
Kill us all three of us. So.
And then, and actually, this is another thing you said, that Sirius is less crazy in the movie. In the book.
In the book, yeah. So in the book, it describes how Sirius never really went crazy in the
because Fudge was visiting Azkaban.
And he just saw his newspaper and it was just talking to him the entire time.
Yeah.
We find out later though that the reason why he never goes crazy is because he turns into a dog every single time the Dementors come, and the Dementors can't see an animal soul as well as human souls. So, and that also explains how he escaped the prison. But anyways, in the movie you see him, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to kill him. He's like insane, but in the movie, in the book, he's very relatively calm. He's just sitting there laying on the bed. He's like, can we kill him now? Like, come on, like, let's still, I'm waiting, really? And he takes his time to explain to Harry every he can. We also have forgot to mention that Lupin is in this time, and everyone thinks that Lupin has betrayed him because Lupin embraces Sirius, and Lupin's trying to explain to Harry and Hermione and Ron what the real story is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Harry confronts Sirius about betraying his parents, pins him on the ground. This is the movie scene, and then that's when Lupin shows up, as he said. That's when Lupin shows up, does Expelliarmus, and takes Harry's wand. In the book, he takes all three of their wands.
Yes.
And then they try to explain, as he said, that Sirius did not actually betray Harry's parents. It was someone else, Peter Pettigrew, who they thought to be dead. And they refuse to listen, and Lupin says, okay, in the book this happens. Lupin says, okay, I will give you all of your wands back, just to show that I'm not tricking you. Now will you listen?
Yes.
And they listen to them. And then in the midst of all that, Snape comes in. Now this is the difference in the book and movie. In the book he comes in, and he's wearing the invisibility cloak, and he comes in. In the movie he just comes in. And, says that he would always hoped he'd be the one to catch Sirius, and, wanting to, turn Sirius over to the Dementors and capture him. And in the book, all three of the children, Hermione, Harry, and Ron, Expelliarmus to Severus, and in the movie, Harry's the only one that does it.
Yeah.
Which it makes more sense in the book that all three of them did. That would be that powerful.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Expelliarmus is supposed to be that powerful himself. So anyway, Snape gets knocked out, and then Sirius and Lupin proceed to explain further the story about how Peter Pettigrew betrayed them. He was the one that turned over his parents to Voldemort. I think in the book, Sirius says that at the last minute he convinced Harry's parents, because Sirius was originally their secret keeper, but he convinced them to change to Pettigrew at the last second.
Yes.
And then he went to Pettigrew's house, saw Pettigrew wasn't there, and that they were dead, and he was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's when the whole thing happened. And then Pettigrew cut off his own finger and transformed himself into a rat, which is dun 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 Scatter.
Yep.
Which means Pettigrew has been in this movie since movie 1. That's crazy to think because when I watched it back as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, Peter Pettigrew was there the whole time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then Pettigrew is transformed. Oh, Scabrous is transformed into Pettigrew. And big difference in the book is at first Peter Pettigrew tries to deny that he betrayed Harry's parents, but in the movie he immediately, he says, "Oh, well, the Voldemort, he was gonna kill me. What would you have done?" And Sirius goes, "I would have died instead of betraying my friends," which I agree with Sirius. That's a true friend. And also we find out that Lupin and his friends created the map in this scene. So it was Lupin, Sirius, Pettigrew, and James that created the Waters map.
Yeah.
And so after that, Sid enters, Pettigrew is revealed, and then so they leave the Shrieking Shack after they find all this. Oh, Lupin and Sirius try to go kill Pettigrew, but then Harry says, no, let's just turn him over to the Dementors. He's showing an act of mercy, which is with both by Pettigrew and Dumbledore confirmed later on that Harry's dad would have done the same thing. He would have spared Pettigrew and just turned him over to the Dementors. And they're leaving, and in the book, Sirius is actually guiding Snape along, and Snape's head is hitting the thing as it's going along.
Yeah.
Snape's not conscious. In the movie, he's conscious. In this one, he's not conscious. And then they leave, and, Sirius is offering Harry to go and live with him. And, of course, Harry's all for it because he hates the Dursleys. I would have loved for that to happen. Yeah. Sirius is much better than the Dursleys, obviously. And then there's a full moon out, and Lupin starts to transform into a werewolf, which difference in the book and movie. In the book, Hermione's the one that says, oh my god, he didn't take his potion.
Yeah.
In the movie, Sirius is the one that says, Lupin, did you take your potion tonight? And he tries to, talk him through it.
But we also discovered, too, the difference in the book and the movie is that he's a... they actually mentioned it, but you figure out how Lupin turns into a werewolf, and how the Shrieking Shack is not really haunted. It's been him hiding in the thing and scratching and cutting himself because he can't eat humans. So he's just taking out his pain on him. Anyways, continue.
So Sirius turns into a dog. Oh, I'm sorry. After that, Pettigrew escapes.
Yeah. He
gets the wand. Harry does the Expelliarmus, but it's too late because he already did the transforming. Back into the rat, and he scurries off, little coward. Scurries off to meet Voldemort. That's what he's doing. And then Sirius turns into a dog and starts fighting Lupin. And also, like I said, difference in the book, Snape's not conscious. And then after Sirius fights Lupin, he transforms back into his human form. He's very injured from the fight. He goes to the lake, and then the Dementors come, and they are attempting to give Sirius the Dementor's kiss, which the Dementor's kiss is when they suck your soul out completely. It's like it doesn't kill you, but you're like a vegetable. Like you basically just exist. You're nothing.
Yeah.
It's like it's a fate worse than death. I think they describe it as.
It's the shell without the meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. So also a big difference in the book and movie with this is that when Harry tries to do the Patronus, Hermione's also there. In the book this happens. Hermione's there and she tries to do it too, but Hermione also passes out. They both pass out. In the movie, Hermione's not there with him. And in the movie, Harry sees the lake and there's a big Patronus that comes and gives all the Dementors away. Harry thinks he's seeing his dad, which we'll talk about that when we get to it. But he thinks he sees his dad. And then Harry is in the hospital, and Harry and Hermione are trying to explain to Cornelius Fudge and Snape that Sirius is innocent and Pettigrew is the traitor, and Snape and Fudge both are saying they're crazy, they're deluded. Sirius put like a spell on them or something, he charmed them or something. And then Dumbledore walks in and says he would like to speak to both Hermione and Harry. This is all in the book, by the way. He wants to speak to Harry and Hermione. Snape kind of argues with him a little bit, but then he leaves. All the midst of it is Madame Pomfrey, the nurse, is very like, I just want to take care of my patients.
Yeah.
She's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then So Ron and Hermione, Harry and Hermione try to explain to Dumbledore about, again, what they're saying about Sirius, and then Dumbledore says, well, wait, you're two 13-year-old wizards. You have to understand that Snape's version of events sounds more believable than yours. So you have to fix it. And so this is when we find out, that this is how Hermione has been getting through all of her classes, because there's a big overlap in her classes in the movie, and Ron consistently is like, well, how are you doing all this? This is impossible. So Hermione has what's called a time turner, which allows her to go back in time so she can redo an hour if she needs to go redo one of her classes.
Yeah.
That's how she's been doing it. McGonagall gave it to her at the beginning of the term. McGonagall told her, don't tell anyone you're using this. You have to get special approved from the ministry because you're a muggle that you would not use this except for classes.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, they go back in time, and so the first thing they do is they go back to Hagrid's hut when Buckbeak's about to be executed. And this is why it's one of my favorite parts of this movie. So we find out that in the movie, because in the book, the rocks being thrown never happens in the book. In the movie, it does. But in the movie, we found out Hermione's the one that throws the rock at the three in the hut and get them to leave. Because it's a time loop. This is continuously happening. And then they leave and they wait for their original three to leave the hut and go back up to the school. And once they do that, then they lure Buckbeak with the dead weasels.
Ferrets,
sorry. Ferret, weasel, it's kind of the same thing. But anyway, so they lure Buckbeak away, and then Dumbledore walks out, and they're looking at the skies, and Dumbledore looking knows that they're standing there. That's why he distracts Fudge. It's pretty cool. And then so they rescue Buckbeak, and they're like, what happened to the creature? We just saw it. Oh, Hagrid must have released him. Hagrid's been in the hut the whole time. And they're confused. And then they save Buckbeak, and then they wait for people to leave the Whomping Willow, and then they go and try to save. Hermione also, this is also not in the book, it's only in the movies. When Werewolf Lupin is trying to attack Harry, because Harry throws a rock at him, Hermione howls from a distance with her and Harry and lures Lupin to them, and then Lupin starts going after them, and then Buckbeak comes in, is a badass, and saves the day.
Exactly.
Fights Lupin off. Poor Lupin had a rough night.
Oh, yeah.
Lupin had a really rough night.
Even Harry said it in the movie, man. He's like, man, Professor Lupin's not having a good night at all.
Yeah, not everyone at all.
Yeah.
And then they go and try to save Sirius from the Dementors, and Harry is waiting for his dad to come and save the day, but Hermione's like, Harry, your dad's not coming. Your dad's dead. Like,
yeah.
And then Harry realizes he would see his own Patronus at the end of the lake, and he was the one that conjured out that big Patronus, which is very impressive for a third-year wizard, because even Dumbledore said only a not powerful wizard could have done that. So that's pretty impressive for Harry. So then after they save Sirius, they fly Buckbeak over to free Sirius from the tower. And in the book, he's locked in Professor Flitwick's office. In the movie, he's locked in a tower. And Hermione uses the Bombarda spell to break Sirius out. And in the movie and in the book, Harry kind of mentions wanting to go live with Sirius, but Sirius says, listen, I'm innocent, that's great. Like, no one else does. This is not the right time for you to come live with me. The dust needs to settle, basically. Which is fair. It's disappointing, but it's fair.
Yeah.
And then they make it back in time, and this is a really subtle difference in the movie and the book. So in the book, when they get back and Dumbledore is locking the other two, Hermione and Harry in there, he turns on, sees them, and they go, we did it. And he goes, well done. But in the movie, he goes, did what? Like, acts like he doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And in the movie, Ron's like conscious, and Ron says, how'd you get over there? You were just right there. And they're like, what's he talking about, Harry? And poor Ron.
Yeah.
They never explained to him. And then, so then the next thing that happens is Harry finds out that Lupin is, well, in the book, he finds out from Seamus that Lupin is leaving.
Yes.
But in the movie, he goes to Lupin's office to see him, and he sees Lupin packing his things and finds out Lupin is leaving because Lupin says someone let it slip, and in the book they reveal that Snape is the one that let it slip to people about Lupin's condition being a werewolf, and Lupin says the owls will start coming in, and parents are not going to want me teaching their students.
Yes.
So Snape was a jackass for that.
I will admit, this movie made me dislike Snape a little bit more, and I normally like Snape.
Yeah. When you told me that, I was like, oh, we're going to agree on that. So then Lupin leaves, and, Lupin was, oh, God, Lupin's such a great character. But luckily, Lupin comes back in further movies, so he's not gone completely. And he also, he gives Harry the map back. He says, I'm no longer your professor, so, I don't feel bad giving you this or guilty giving you this. And then Harry doesn't think he made a difference, and Lupin says, you made all the difference. You saved an innocent man's life tonight. And you also rescued an innocent hippogriff. And then the final thing in the movie is that Harry goes into the hall and sees that he has a new fireball, which this is a difference, because in the book, he gets the fireball in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing where McGonagall's checking for jinxes because they don't know who sent him the broom, and they think Sirius sent it, and they still think it's a killer, and that creates another conflict with the three. But, in the movie, he gets it at the end, and it ends with Harry flying off. So that's The Prisoner of Azkaban. So before we end this video, we have a couple things we want to talk about. So because
That was just one thing.
Well, the Boggart too.
I'm not going to mention mine, but still.
I'll do mine.
Yeah.
You don't have to. But the main thing we want to talk about is, so this movie reveals the Patronuses. So we each took a quiz to find out what our Patronus would be. So if you guys want to do that too,
Yeah.
let us know in the comment section what your Patronus is. There's a quiz you can take.
Yep.
So Jacob.
So we found ours first off of Hayway. It's just some sponsors. It's the first thing that popped up on Google after I looked up what is your Patronus. And mine is a stag. So I'm like, hey, blasting people away.
And my Patronus is a dog. Whoop whoop. Yeah, so Duke is my Patronus.
No, that's an insult to Duke.
Shut up. Yeah, Duke loves me. So also, he's not going to say his, but mine, also there's a Boggart scene, and so my Boggart would be the same as Ron's, which is the big spider.
Yeah. Honestly, okay, I lie. I'll say mine. Even though this is not like my true biggest fear, but the most, I guess, logical one that could be put into by a Boggart is a snake. So yeah, snakes, and I think if I had to change mine into ridiculousness, my snake would turn into a gummy worm.
I think I would turn the spider into maybe what Ron did, like the tap dancing. That was funny.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what else I would do because I don't even know.
You tell those spiders, Tyler.
Okay, so that's it for this one. So the next one we're gonna do is the Goblet of Fire, which that is when it really gets dark.
Exactly.
That's when it really gets dark,
And most likely next time we do this one, I may be in Lafayette doing it. So
What?
yeah,
Because we're coming over for Thanksgiving.
so. But
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
So
we'll be at my place after this.
exactly.
Oh God, I don't like to bad juju in my house. Anyways, is there something else I wanted to mention at the end of it? No. Okay. All right, guys. Well, like this video, comment down below, subscribe, and let us know what your Patronus is, and also if you want to say what's your Boggart, what would you turn your Boggart into?
Yeah.
Mention that too, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.